Hello and welcome. I'm back with another excellent human being to talk with. Today, I'm talking with the one and only legendary Bomblin, an incredible Gwent content creator, and I'm excited to get inside of his mind today. Before we begin, Bomblin, what should I call you during the interview?
That's a very good question. You can call me Bomblin or you can call me Chris, which is my real name. I'm not a big fan of my nickname, Bomblin. I don't know. I was always very bad at names in any
Okay.
game, in anything. So this is random as well, and I don't really like it. But don't worry, you can call me Bomblin. You can call me Chris. I will just react to anything.
No
You
problem.
can
I'll
even call
just
me like you Slav, and I will probably answer.
Well, given that, I'll just call you Chris, and you can just call me John. You don't have to put the little plain talk in the front. So let's get down to business. Let's just start with your background. You can pick up wherever in life you feel most comfortable. A lot of people talk about education. You can pick up in schooling, you pick up in university if you went to it, etc. Where would you like to begin?
That's pretty cool because my adventure was quite long and quite big through different regions of and areas.
Okay.
I'm from Warsaw. That's a start. I has been raised and born in Warsaw, and I love this city. And I will recommend you highly to come here and visit because it's a really great city. And I
Nice.
always been here, and I always wanted to continue to grow here. And
Hmm.
after high school, I went to the University of Warsaw, of course,
Okay.
but I didn't know what topic to choose or whatever. I didn't even have any inspiration what I want to do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to spatial development course, like a bachelor, uh, and I hated it. It was so boring. It was
Okay.
terrible, but I met a lot of friends, and I keep on like having a contact with all of these friends from this university. But fun fact, none of them, there's like 10 of us, none of them went through this direction in their lives because everyone thought this is a super boring place to study or I don't know to develop yourself because it's just really
Okay.
really boring. But well, I shouldn't be that mean to this position because I think Sawyer is doing something like this in his life, so I don't want to offend him. But for me, it was not that amazing.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to the Koźmiński University, which is like a private university, which is not that common in Poland because we have a lot of public universities
Okay.
in Poland. And there I was studying international management.
Okay.
And fun fact, the school is next to the CD Projekt headquarters. So I was going through headquarters pretty much every day. It was like one stop from it. And there I started to enjoy marketing a lot. And
Okay.
I wrote my thesis about marketing. And this is actually pretty interesting because I wrote the thesis about influence of streamers on their viewers and if you
Yes.
can sell any ads or anything to them or any product to them. Uh, and first, it was the start of my streaming career, let's call it, because it got me very engaged in this topic. And it
Mm-hmm.
actually, I found it pretty interesting to find how this works and how does it look like from the background and started to, I don't know, like go into details how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it gave me this idea that I want to do marketing. So I went to the job in marketing, and that was also boring because I like to be busy. And the work in marketing and in the department that I was doing was pretty much do what you need to do, and then you can chill. But I was doing my tasks for after like 1 hour, and in Poland you are like you need to sit in the work for like 8 hours. So basically, I was sitting and watching the wall for the like 7 out of 8 hours.
Mm.
So I decided it's not for me, and I
Okay.
went to the complete opposite because I went to how we call it audit, like the financial audit. And I'm very
Okay.
bad at math, and I have no background in finances. But I went to the most finance and most math heavy industry, and I've been there for 1.5 years. Uh,
Nice.
it was something. I cannot recommend anyone to do it because it's not rewarding and it's very very stressful and you need to work a lot and you need to work really long hours. And during the busy seasons, so like from January to end of March, you have absolutely no life, and you have to work until like, I don't know, 10 p.m. and then wake up at 7 a.m. and keep on working. It's terrible. And well, yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that sounds like losing a quarter of the year nonstop working during the busy season does sound truly awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. And then you have to fix all your mistakes for the next 9 months. So it wasn't that funny. And after that, after the second this busy season, I said, I'm out. I can't do it. And it was like this year, this March. And I thought, well, I have some savings, a little bit to keep me going at least for a few months. And I love streaming. I tried it a little bit when I was working, actually. So how about we can try it for the, let's call it full time, but I don't have enough money to live from this, but I can at least do it every day and see how it goes. And well, here we are now talking with John.
Yeah. All right. There's a lot there. Let me go ahead and just take a look at my notes real quick and start taking it apart. Oh, you mentioned someday you should visit Warsaw. I've not been to Warsaw. I've been to Krakow though. But I've not personally been not a fan?
Not a fan, because this is like the most tourist attraction. It's Krakow. Everyone loves Krakow. Everyone is coming to Krakow. And basically we have this big rivalry between Warsaw people and Krakow people. Basically we hate each other because Krakow is very like slow city. They like to chill, have a slow breakfast, wake up at 10 and chill. And in Warsaw, we like to be like
work
in a hurry.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I really like that. I do actually really appreciate that kind of an environment. I like the busier places.
It's a real clash.
Okay, excellent. All right, so let me ask you a couple questions. First question I had along the way. So, how did you end up choosing to go to the private university after you attended the University of Warsaw? Sounds like that was a very uncommon path.
This is pretty uncommon, but first of all, this is one of the best, or even the best, like management university in Poland. My sister used to go there as well, and she always recommended it. And also it is the school that had a special program that I had all of the subjects and everything in English. And it was in the collaboration with one of the British schools, University of Bradford. So basically after the 2 years, I got a master degree in Poland and master degree in UK at the same time. So I really enjoyed this special program.
Nice. What perks does a master degree from the United Kingdom give you?
To be honest, now when I think about it, it gives me absolutely nothing because in Poland, everyone finished master. Everyone have to finish master. It's like a social, I don't know how to call it, social push or like
social pressure.
Yeah, something like everyone are supposed to finish the master if they are in like Warsaw and trying to have a career or whatever. And now when I reflect on it, it's really unnecessary because people, when they like look at your CV on like your resume or whatever you call it, they just look at your experience, and you can pretty much learn everything anyway in the job. You really don't need this 2 master degrees. It really gave me nothing apart from I don't know, when I was there, so it was like 2 years ago, I could really in a decent way write and talk in English. Now I'm sort of out of practice, so it's not as good as it used to be, but that's pretty much the only thing.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that your English might have slipped just a touch because you were doing all your classwork in English at the private university. So as soon as you leave that environment, it makes sense that it decreases. Though you do stream in English. You do stream today in English. So hopefully it'll just keep you sharp. Let's see.
Yeah, it really helps when I can talk like at least every day. I know it's like a different kind of talk because back in the university, I need to, I don't know, write about some financial problems of I don't know, airplane industry, and now I talk about card game when I slam big points on the board. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit different environment.
Ah,
It's not a
that's
business
true.
English.
That is definitely true because there's a very real difference between business, as you said, business English, how to talk the trade versus how to hype up that moment where you slap down a 50 point of glaze and you're like, watch this.
Exactly. It's more
Hmm.
of like, wow, what an amazing PPG player. And versus like, I don't know, the demand of the rise of the percentage is higher this season. I don't know. It's completely different.
That makes a lot of sense to me. How
Yeah.
how did you end up choosing to write your master thesis on the influence of streamers? That strikes me. I expected you had done streaming before that thesis, but it sounds like it was not the case.
Yeah, it was actually not. First of all, I had an amazing marketing professor at the university. He was absolutely amazing. Like, when you go to the university, like I had an experience in like the University of Warsaw. You come to this guy lecturing you. You are like sitting like this, and you like pray until this ends. It's really boring, and they have like no they have like no happiness on doing this. They just do it because they have to, because
Yeah.
you need to be professor and you teach someone to get like, I don't know, some benefit money from
Yeah.
the government or something like this. And these guys in the private school like do it because they get like real money, and if they don't do a good job they will be fired, so they really care about this. And
Yep.
this guy from marketing, he was like a marketing professor for like 10 12 20 years, but still he was still like quite young, like I don't know, 40 50, so like in the professional way he wasn't very old. And he gave us a lot of content. He like gave us a lot of examples of all of the marketing decision, marketing strategies, and from the even this like theory, he could show us in real examples of everything marketing related. And it was really joy to come to his lectures and just listen to him. So when I like after the like half year, when we had to choose the who wants to be our master advisor or whatever we call it, we have to have someone like this every time we write master. I was like, I want this guy. I don't care what topic I want to write. I want to write something about marketing with this guy because he's just amazing. And when he agreed, he told me like, what passion you have, what is your passion, what do you want to write about? And I was like, well, I love video games and I always liked video games. And he was like, okay, then go find anything business related to video games and come back to me next week and find it. And then I went for a beer with my friends, and my good friend who was working in marketing, she told me that she had a client who started to pay a lot of money to streamers, and it was like 4-5 years ago. So it was really uncommon, like to pay streamers money, especially in Poland, where like no one knows what is streaming. And I started to look at this. I started to like generate some data and like look into details about the deals, etc. And I started to like enjoy it. It was actually pretty interesting read. And I was like, wait, but is this marketing even working? Like, can you even measure if someone, give you the money to stream, and does it really, the viewers, are they really care if you are like advertising any product or something like this? And I was like, well, I can just test it, and you can, I can just write my master thesis about it.
That's really interesting. So you stumble on, because people think of 4 to 5 years later, they're thinking now where tons of people sponsor streamers all the time. YouTube, it's super abundant as well. You go to a video, it's like, this video is brought to you by Skillshare or something like that. Or have you played Genshin Impact? Or even now I see McDonald's commercials where you have different streamers being like, or Hafu, I think, is like, oh, look at me, I'm eating a McDonald's sandwich. But 4 or 5 years ago, that's cutting edge. That is a very new idea. And so you start writing this paper.
Yeah, I can give you a very good example, because it was like when I was writing my thesis. When I started writing the thesis, the only sponsors I could find on like, I don't know, League of Legends tournament, like the biggest tournaments, there were Razer that make keyboards and mouses or whatever. And sometimes it was the first one, Red Bull, because the Red
Yep.
Bull always wanted to go into it. And that was it. Sometimes a secret labs that make chair for gamers,
Yep.
everything basically gamers related. And when I was finishing my master thesis, it was like McDonald's, Toyota, Honda, like all of these big companies started to notice that you can actually sponsor streamers.
Interesting. Did that change your thesis at all? Because it sounds like you were in that transitional period. Because yes, you're 100% right. It used to be Razer. You had Secret Labs as the chair, which you actually have on behind you right
Nope,
now. You
not
have
sponsored.
not sponsored someday, maybe not today. You're right. Red Bull is starting to get in because they wanted to know. Intel had a couple of series. They were really closely related to StarCraft, if I recall. What were some of the other ones? But they were just, it was classic. You saw them every single time. A little bit of Rocket.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't this wide spectrum. It was basically it was like gaming, very hardcore gamers, and then Red Bull, because Red Bull tries to have its hand in every niche sport out there, and esports is kind of sport enough that Red Bull is like, yeah, caffeine and gaming is close enough. Let's just go with it. But you're right.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
transitions. Tell me, did you change your paper during this transition?
To be honest, I only had to write like a couple paragraphs about it because it was really in the late stages of my master. So it was more like, okay, like, do you know when you, especially for a UK master, they really want you to develop something. They are
Okay.
like encouraging you to like invent a new idea or something like this. So basically, I wrote like few paragraphs about that. Companies should look in the future that there is a market new that is not yet developed. So I only wrote about this, but my whole master was more of like, if even like, I don't know, streamers or content creators have even any impact on the viewers. So I focus more on this, not on the like business aspect of investing.
Yes, I mean it makes sense because it all at this point you're you're getting a master's in management. That's so it has to go back to business. It has to have that business, as we are talking about the business English earlier. It is a business school about setting you up for a career in management. Also, tell me a little bit more about the importance of passion here, because you found a professor that really resonated with you, and that professor was like, "Look, you can write your thesis on anything, but you got to find your passion, then find a way to tie in the actual purpose of the thesis, which is write a thesis on business and management." Do you think passion is really key in success, in your success? How do you value passion?
That's interesting. I think in most cases, uh, it's important to be happy in life, the passion. You can survive without it. It's the same with master thesis. Like, a lot of people didn't care and just wrote about an X topic that,
Yeah.
like whatever topic that, I don't know, they can just write. A lot of people, I don't know, I probably shouldn't say it loud, but a lot of people fake their data because they just don't care, and no one really cares. It's just, you need to write about something, you need to add some theory and first, and then you need to support it with some data that no one checks, and you have a master and you are happy because you have this paper.
Yeah.
For me, it was different because I really was passionate about this topic, and I really, for my even personal knowledge, I just wanted to check this data. I really wanted to acquire it. And later in life, I think it helped me, because that's why I wouldn't be ever streaming if I didn't have a passion for it. And this is very hard to understand for a lot of people that want to try streaming, that without passion, it's impossible.
Yes.
Because you will be, I don't know, you'll be bored of it after like 1 week, or you will be very sad that no one is watching you for after 1 week. So if you don't have the plain passion for it, it's impossible. And I think it's the same for anything that you want to do. I'm not talking about the things that you have to do, because sometimes you have to do some stuff and you might not be passionate about them, but sometimes you have to do them, like, work to have money. But passion helps you with the things that you like, and without it, it will just pain.
Yes, I like that. I like that. Without passion is pain. You can get by without it, but it's kind of a crummy way to approach things. And I like, and one thing you already gave a good example earlier was the public university professors that were just like snooze fest, eyes
Yeah,
closed, and they're just doing what they need to do, the paycheck, versus this private university where they know their jobs are on the line and the people there have drive, determination, and passion. That's why it makes a lot of sense in my mind where you have this professor who's passionate about his work going to you and saying, you need to find your passion. It kind of like trickles down about like, who are
yeah,
you connecting with and what values are those people bringing? And then we
yeah.
jump.
But I also think
Mhm.
that they have a passion in like they really want you to like the topic as well. So if
Yes.
they transfer a passion into you, they are happy about this. So I think that the goal of this professor was always to like uh, evolve some sort of passion in me. So by doing this, he's happy because he feels like he did a good job in teaching. He
Hmm.
doesn't feel like it's like I just talk to the wall and they don't care what they do. If he can see that I actually got something from him, I think it's a
Hmm.
big reward for him as well as a teacher.
I agree. That makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, if I were a teacher, I would like to know that my students are engaged, happy, growing, and passionate. Ideally, about the subject I'm teaching because I'm passionate about that subject. Hopefully, anyways. And so, yes, I do think there is a reciprocal relationship where the professor's, helping you with the thesis. It is extra work technically for him, but he's getting something out of it. Just like you're getting something out of it. You're sharing a passion and you're I kind of almost feel like it's like a fire where
Mhm.
when you are in the zone, you're putting yourself in places where you're going to thrive, be passionate, you're excited to work. You want to spread that mentality and surround yourself by people with those mentalities. As a professor, you're surrounded by students, so all you want to do is spread that fire, that drive, that passion to all your students, so you can continue to be surrounded by those people. And then those students ideally will continue to spread it as well. Passion's
Yeah,
very
exactly.
interesting. Okay, excellent. So let's,
Uh,
yeah. Or do you have any comments?
because, yeah, I have just one more comment
Please, please,
because
please.
I worked in the how we call it in the multinational corporations,
Uh huh.
and I noticed that they try to do the same, but it's so fake that it will never
Yes.
work.
Ah.
Because we go there to just have money. We don't want to have a passion about, I don't know, being an auditor and check the financial data of the company
Mm-hmm.
that sells wood and blocks. It's not passion.
I agree. There is, I think, a chase for money that is very natural in capitalism. But what happens is people eventually find out when they get the money that that might not have been what they were excited about the whole time. Instead, as you were describing the financial audit industry, they spend their quarter of a year grinding and the next 9 months fixing it. You do that for 40 years, you're going to have money, plenty of it.
Yeah,
Maybe you even get like a great cocktail party talk. You're talking up like, oh yes, I've had an illustrious career as a financial auditor, and you do that. Then you find out, wait, that wasn't my passion the whole time, and I'm
yeah,
at 40 years. What I really wanted to do was open a flower shop, and while I would have, if I'm passionate and hardworking and smart, and you're in financial audit, you clearly smart, you're clearly smarter, and this hypothetical person's clearly smart. They probably would have succeeded with their flower shop, and they would have had a much
yeah,
happier life, even though they had less money. If you're not trying to figure out what you like to do, when you wake up in the morning, what gets you excited to get out of bed, well, that's really bad. You can waste a lot of time. You've actually done a really nice job, as we're going to continue to talk about your career in terms of knowing yourself and trying to move role to role to find out what you like. Because even just in your entire career and education, what you described is all about you kind of find something that fits you, right? You
yeah,
have a undergraduate degree, which was, even though you make great friends, was really boring. Go to a master, a little bit closer. You're in management. You like business. From the sounds of it, you find a link to streaming, which you like. And then from there, you jump to a really interesting job in the sense of a lot of people would love that job if you weren't aware about passion and drive. Where it's like, oh, I
yeah,
just do an hour of work and I sit back for 7 and I make the money I want and I move on. And
yeah.
you abandoned this job. So tell me a little bit more about that decision. You described it as very boring, but do you have any regrets, or is it just, do you feel that there is more that you should be doing of your life? Tell me a bit more about that decision, because a lot of people would have just said, "Oh yeah, I could just sit back like one of those public university professors at Warsaw and chill." Tell me about your
Yeah,
decision there.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, my problem was that I didn't think before understood what is how it's working in marketing works.
Okay.
So I had this vision that I am doing a big campaign. I to choose a slogan. I make everyone, I don't know, drink Coke, and everyone is happy, and I can record a beautiful video with I
Yep.
don't know naked celebrity, and I have easy money. The
Yep.
problem is it's not working like this, and marketing has a lot of branches that are very, very boring. And I landed in a branch that was doing ads on Google
Ah.
AdWords.
Yep.
Basically, when you Google and you have a advertise on top,
Yep.
you are happy when you see it, and when you click it, now my company is happy when you click it.
Yes.
The problem is you do everything in patterns or on the how you call it. You have basically a template. That's what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and you just use it. And my problem is I love being creative. That's why I like streaming as well. And I like YouTube because I like being creative. And I thought that marketing is also about creativity. But turns out you just need to use the same slogans that are very clickbaity, the same tools, the same everything, and then you just monitor and optimize it.
Yep.
Because I love also data. I don't know if you know about my all of my spreadsheets that I love to do, and that's why probably I landed in financial audit as well, because I like spreadsheets and I like analyzing data. And I was
Okay.
hoping that in this Google Ads, when you have like all the numbers, you can analyze, oh, this guy is doing something more clicks at morning at 5 a.m. I can make them with some one word change to make them click more, and I can look at the data.
Yep.
And it will be so much fun when I can manipulate it. But the practice was like, okay, you need to monitor this data for 2 weeks. So I was like, from boredom, I was doing an Excel that was calculating this stuff for me. And I was like coming to the work, insert the data in the morning, and I was like, sure, now I need to wait 2 weeks to see if my predictions are correct, because I cannot change anything because they don't allow it me.
That's brutal.
Yeah, that's just, and I discovered that there are a lot of people there actually enjoy this chill analyzation of the data or whatever. Like you said, some people just like having to come, do yourself a coffee, sit, discuss what is possible for next 2 weeks, then like check the data if it's correct on this project, if this is correct on this project, and then just chill for a little bit. For me, it's too boring because I need to be busy. Even when I'm streaming, I don't know, I'm from, if there is like a moment like my opponent is roping, I check the chat, then I check the website, I check the Twitter, check Discord, what's going on. I need a lot of things to do at the same time, and this slow process is just not for me. Coming back to the previous topic, I just didn't have a passion in it. It's just for me not enough creativity, and it's just too boring. I need to constantly do stuff in my life.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It sounds like Google AdWords, for people who don't know what that is. You basically put together advertisements, you get to come up on the top 3 search results on certain words, and there's a whole bidding process behind the scenes, and you pay for you get paid every time it gets clicked on. Ideally though, it sounds like what you're doing is getting paid based on, you're paying for impressions, so number of times people will see it, and your idea is trying to up the click-through rate, how often people will click on it. But you're correct. You can do A/B split tests. You can only run so many experiments at a time, though. You only have so much money to expend on experimenting. So sounds like you'd say, all right, here's some hypotheses that are worth testing. You test them for 2 weeks, and you sit down and have to analyze it. And you have a particularly bad case, which is a good and paradoxically bad thing, because you built an Excel that does a good chunk of the work for you. Just put in the data, it spits out the answer, which is brilliant, except all of a sudden, you have even more time probably than your peers do, because you've automated a good portion of your job, which is sick and wonderful. And I love that. But it's to your own detriment because you hate being bored, which I think is hilarious.
And I think I just remember one more thing that really, like, it was in the end that triggered me to really drop this job. there were two things. One was like we had a very small campaign. I don't want to go into the details, but basically we have X amount of money for 1 week, and we needed to generate enough clicks for this period. Okay, and we got to this point very quickly because it was like a very easy campaign.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, I noticed that we can do this and here, or maybe we can move this and this here, and we can generate even more clicks. That's pretty cool. And everyone was like, why would we do it? We already got our like the level that we needed from the contract. So we shouldn't bother because we already got to the correct level from the contract. And it always triggers me because like, yeah, but you can do better, you know? And in the company, there was like no one wanted to grow, you know? No one wanted to expand and try something risky while it's not even risky, just you can experiment while you have an option. No, because everyone are so comfortable with their position that they didn't want to experiment even further into like develop or I don't know, discover new things. They just wanted to have this nice, calm and comfortable position. And it triggered me.
Do you think there these days is a problem with comfort, where everything in life is really slowly but surely getting more and more comfortable, right? Beds have never been softer. Dopamine rushes have never been easier than going online. Not that I'm exactly exempt from either of those cases. Do you think there's an issue of everything getting a little bit too soft?
I think soft, maybe, but I think that's we have the kind of a civilization culture now to be comfortable, and everyone wants to be very comfortable, and it's especially I can see it in Poland, and I think that's one of the reason why we have it. It's because of our history in the past. So we were, you know, when we were under the government of Russia, and basically everything was prohibited for until like very late of 20th century. A lot of people don't realize it, that it was actually 30 years ago when my parents couldn't like go to any holidays outside or couldn't buy meat when they wanted to. And now when we like all of these old people, like my parents are not that old, you know, 50 or 55. Go to the job, to capitalism, and everything is possible. They are happy with what they get, and they are like poisoning the minds of the children that they should be happy for what they have. And I think that people like, okay, I have a now steady job, I have a nice children coming, I can now chill. My parents couldn't do it. I can every second year I can go for expensive holidays. I'm done.
It's so interesting. I never thought about that connection, where for the older generation, they had the experience of being under the Soviet Union and having days or many days where you can't get meat and other things that under capitalism it's much more abundant. And so they get there and they're like, oh, we've made it. We've made it. Right now we can have anything I want from the supermarket. We all have steady jobs. Things are really good now. So why change it? But of course, I will say it's the new generation, as you're kind of pointing out, maybe a little bit more hunger and drive, because now instead of their baseline being Soviet rule, their baseline is now capitalism, which for them is average. For their parents is great. And so they say, oh, we want to go above average though. Like this is where we're starting at. Let's go higher. That's interesting. It creates a paradox.
Maybe it's my, conspiracy theory, but I think there is something in it. And I think like the next generation, that's why Poland is very like strict at the moment and very like it's good development, but I think that we need next generation, and not even my generation, but I think like next generation to really be the same as other Western countries, basically. Because we still, some of our, like half of our population still live in the past, and that's the sad, or that's just the truth in Poland.
Yeah, and it's hard. Every country has always feels like it's behind where the next generation wants it to be. And I think it's one of the benefits
Yeah.
of the next generation, where here comes a group of fresh people where the previous generation, they put together this life, and that's the baseline that you're trying to exceed. So the next generation will always cause problems. And in terms of causing problems of pushing things forward, making changes, the older generation will resist, saying, we've done it. This is perfect. And then the new generation's like, no, we could do better. If it makes you feel any better, I'm in the United States, and we have the same problems. We have the same new generation coming up saying, look, what are you guys doing about this, and this? Like, how did we even get here? A big thing in the United States right now is slowly but surely the ending of the war on drugs, which was used to criminalize lots of people, keep lots of particular groups down. And now the next generation's coming up and saying, like, okay, let me get this straight. We've, spent billions, if not trillions of dollars on all these arrests, locking people up, and there's been no tangible, benefits to any of this. What are you guys doing? So it is, I feel like it's not just Poland, but every society has this issue of the next generation coming along saying, yeah, you guys really screwed this one up. Let's see if we can do a little bit better this time around.
Yeah, but it's so at the same time it's so amazing because like in the politics we really like old people because they have experience, Like look at the U.S. presidency.
Yeah.
Like to be honest, like all of the candidates were too old. You know?
Oh my gosh.
That's the truth. They like. No matter if you are on the left or right or whatever, I don't want to go into these details, but whatever you are, on whatever side you are, how any of these candidates could know the problems of, I don't know, streaming industry or like esport growing and having to, I don't know, deal with some, I don't know, bans because of hacking or whatever. I'm just developing some sort of topic.
You're good.
And I think that I will be like, what? I'm come here to fight the Vietnamese war and not deal with, I don't know, esports industry. And I think that's the problem in general. And that, but at the same time, in the like companies and like in the industries that can benefit from experienced managers to like talk something to them, we ignore those at the same time, and we put on the charge like 30 years old, I don't know, young boys who think they are super smart and super fast, and they make tons of mistakes because they lack the experience for the I don't know, old managers. And I don't know, it's like a different weird dynamic that we currently do. I think we use the older people in the wrong places.
I think I'm not sure. So I feel that a lot of youth end up climbing the tops of companies because many of them, at least in the United States, it's entrepreneurship, small startups, and that's when you get Zuckerbergs, Bill Gates. I mean, if we DH him a little bit, go back to like the early 2000s, 1990s, these people end up on the cutting edge because they just build up their company. And that's something you can't really do in politics because you need a lot of money. And if you're going to spend all your time building a campaign, you probably don't have money. At least in the United States, money flows pretty free when it comes to politics. So you end up with people with connections, and the connections are the old people. So that's why, as you point out, left and right, Donald Trump is in 70s. Joe Biden, I think, is the oldest president ever, if I recall correctly. I think he's 78 right now. Donald Trump, I think, is in the early 70s. Like that, those people are born before a lot of major milestones are hit. And I think about, I look at my grandparents who are not much older than both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And looking at their age, they're being born before the civil rights movement in the United States. Like, how are we electing people around that time who are coming potentially before that? And then they're going to be the ones to lead our nation with modern day problems. We look at, for example, the pipeline that was hacked in the United States and shut down a ton of gasoline or access on the East Coast USA. Gas stations ran dry. Prices went through the roof. Lines were hours long. It was a wild time in the United States because there was a ransomware attack, took it down, and do we really want to trust like a 70-year-old president to be the one in charge of setting the regulations to make sure that doesn't happen again? I
would
feel
be
that.
afraid that he will die on the plane traveling there. because of
Yes.
stress,
Yeah, no, it's there is a level of wow, how did we get here? How do we create systems that keep so many old people who feel so out of touch with reality present in our politics? And it always feels, from my experience, that either these older people will just compromise on both sides just enough to win, but keep as
Yeah.
many old, outdated views as possible, which is discouraging to say the least. Unlike, at least in business, you're right. Some youths will get to the top and then ruin a company, but at
Yeah.
least
It's
some
actually pretty
competent youth.
common in Poland.
Hmm? What?
It's pretty common in Poland.
Is it really interesting? It's not as common in the USA. Usually, for the big mega corporations, you have to climb up. You'll get 50 and 60-year-olds unless you invent your own company, right? You become an entrepreneur, you make Snapchat. Okay, now you have a 30-year-old CEO, but he also made a billion-dollar company along the way. So he has a little bit of like street cred going into the business saying, well, I built the billion-dollar company. I ran it this far. Probably can keep running it.
Yeah, that's in corporation, people usually just have to climb the ladder here as well. But on the top, there are people like are 45, I don't know, and they're being considered like old, and it's time to go for them to go. If you're like 55 in Poland, it's impossible to find a job.
Really? Tell me more about that. That surprises me because in the United States, people are starting to work longer and longer because of the retirement crisis. So we'll have people working into their 70s. Why do you
Yeah,
think people are maxing out around 45 at the pinnacle of their career and retiring or stopping work by 55?
we just in Poland, people think that like a little bit older people cannot keep up with this young lads, especially in the corporations where they do everything. I don't want to be offensive, but you have these people coming from small cities to my beautiful Warsaw, and they just do no one, just grind and just climb the ladder. And if you have a guy that can work like 14 hours a day just to grind and just to show that he can grind,
Okay.
then people prefer him over like, I don't know, 50-year-old guy that will say after 8 hours, I'm done. It's end of my work. I'm not gonna do it. Plus they can, I don't know, argue. And this young people like, okay, I will do anything that you want me to do. I will do anything. So why would you give yourself a problem and hire someone old and smart that you need to discuss with him, where you can like hire someone young and like give him orders and he will obey everything. And that's from my experience is what's happening in the like
in the
in most industries.
That sounds fascinating in terms of like it very much when you compare to Cacao. It sounds like Warsaw really does have a very driven work mentality. Most people do not work 14 hours, grinding it out, and then hitting CO at 45. At least in the States, it's unheard of to do that as your work ethic. But it sounds like these companies are making this call saying, look, we could just grab a young person with unlimited energy, burn through a couple of them. The one that rises to the top can lead us. And we'll just keep discarding out anybody who's 50 and can only work 10 hours a day. Unacceptable. Get rid of them. Bring in somebody who work 14.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have like people that start to have children and they realize that they want to do something else with their life. They want to come back to the family. And then you cut those people because they are no longer grinding that much. And that's what's happening. And it's we are easily replaceable. And people don't realize it.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's one thing I would always tell myself when I worked for, I guess technically it'd be a multinational corporation. I used to work at Vanguard, this massive financial firm, and have, they have branches all over the world. And when weather was really bad out on the roads and snowing, and I'd look outside and saying, well, I could risk my life and have a very small chance of crashing my car, getting hurt. And Vanguard would replace me literally tomorrow. Or I could call out sick. I'm going to call out sick because I am not replaceable to me as unlike Vanguard, which says, oh yeah, John, I love him. But, if he on a car crash, we have a stack of resumes ready to go. We'll bring in the next guy, get him on the phones.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Also in USA, you have very strict rules, and like you don't
Yes.
really have a good law that protects the workers, right?
Interesting. So tell me about this. It's one of the things that stuck out to me. An early comment you said. So I had spent. So I traveled a fair bit. I've been very lucky in my life. Total privilege. Didn't really earn it, but I had the opportunity, took it. So I got to spend a month traveling in Europe by myself. And I remember when I got to a hostel in London, I met someone
Hmm.
from Poland who had left Poland. This is when the United Kingdom was part of the EU. Left Poland, went to the UK, and was looking for work because Polish jobs weren't very good. They weren't very high paying.
Yep.
You made the choice saying, I want to build out my career and life here in Poland. Why did you choose to stay?
To be honest, the more I'm staying here, the more I want to go out from here. No, because I'm also not a big fan of politics that's happening in Poland, and like I learned in this. I studied in English, so
Okay.
I kind of want to go out. But to be honest, when you think about it, and when you do a math, life in Warsaw is really good. If you
Mm-hmm.
compare the how much you earn and how much everything costs, it's a
Yes.
very good ratio of high quality living and like in general in Warsaw. Because you go to your first work, like imagine going just after the studies to your first corporate work.
Okay.
In Poland, from this work, if you are single, you can probably rent a flat with one other person. You can go every second day and buy like a lunch outside. You can go to cinema. You can go to theater every now and then. You can earn enough money to every year go to some holidays. You can
Mm-hmm.
even maybe start to I don't know, buy a car for some mortgage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just for the like first money, first your first the first thing you earn. So it's a pretty decent life for a pretty low payment, and
Mm-hmm.
quickly you can get to the money that you can basically do whatever you want. Like my friends are pretty much at the level that they can go for I don't know, skiing in the January and then in the summer for like 2 holidays abroad.
Nice.
They can start renting a flat or maybe I don't know, buying a flat, and they can even start thinking about I don't know, children or whatever, and they will be living in a very high quality of life. They don't
Mm-hmm.
really have to like think about it that they cannot afford something in Warsaw. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you want a good quality of life and a good payment, the ratio, it's I think much better than in other capitals of Europe, for example.
Interesting. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense because what people often forget is it's not necessarily about what your currency can buy in other countries. It's what you make relative to what you can purchase where you live.
Yeah.
So Polish salaries might be lower than a lot of the rest of Europe, but everything's really cheap too. So it works its
Yeah,
way
but
out.
it's much cheaper than in other countries. Like if you compare our average salary, it's like I don't know, let's say I don't know the details. It's like 10% lower than I don't know in Czech, in
Okay.
I don't know, in Hungary, in Spain, like maybe 10% less. But all the prices are like 30% less.
Mm-hmm.
So the living costs are not that high. We like to complain in Poland. So for us, everything is expensive. But if we like,
Mm-hmm.
even like Aria recently visited me in Warsaw, and she
Hmm.
was surprised that everything is so cheap here.
Yep.
And when I checked the average salaries, we earned exactly the same. So
Ah.
it's really like our capital is really not that expensive.
Yes, the money you earn goes a lot farther in Warsaw than other countries to the point where you're netting actually almost a higher salary simply because you're getting such a deep discount on your day-to-day goods, your food, potentially
Yeah.
rent, etc. That makes a lot of sense. And it works out really well, I think, in Poland because even just looking at your background, I can see you have a TV. Some countries in the world struggle with the fact that certain necessities have a very fixed cost, notably access to the internet and a phone, kind of modern day necessities. So even if you live in a place where everything's really, really cheap, you might not be able to afford those things at fixed cost. But Poland's in that, sounds like in that sweet spot in Warsaw in terms
Yeah,
of, hey, you can get a computer, TV, cell phone, you get a lot of things that you need, particularly cell phone and computer, to succeed in life, but it's still all really cheap. And so there you
yeah,
can set up a good life for yourself. But yet,
yeah. It's a really
mhm,
good place to settle. Like really, I know that I just like Warsaw, but
mhm,
really, it's a good place to just live.
that
But I
makes
don't know if
sense.
it's like the perfect, because at the same time we have problems like political problems. We have the most important problem is that we have Poles here. As
Hmm.
we one of our greatest generals said in the past,
Hmm.
the country is beautiful, but people are shit, and and that's the sad truth about Poland.
All right, all right. If you would you like to go into the politics at all, or are you also, or would you like to go to a different topic? I don't know if you want me to go down that path or skip. I have
I,
alternate path. Hmm.
We could. I have time until around 8 p.m., so we can talk until 8 p.m. about anything.
Perfect.
Really,
And what time is it where you are right now?
it's 5 p.m.
Oh yeah,
at the
we
time.
got ages. You're not kidding. All right, well tell me about the politics situation in Poland that you dislike. We talked I think a little bit
So
about the older generation.
yeah, so I studied in. I have a very open family about
Hmm.
I don't know any topics and anything. I was never very religious person.
Hmm.
I like everyone around me wasn't as well. I have some I don't know friends that are open gays.
Hmm.
I'm very open. Uh, and I studied in the university, like I told you, in the international management. So a lot of people were from different countries, from different nationalities. So I'm really open about anything. I
Hmm.
basically I really don't care what you do. Just don't I don't know hurt anyone or anything like this.
Yep.
Just be whatever you want. And our current government is very uh, nationalist and very conservative.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's at first you could like, oh my god, they are just silly and stupid, but they are more and more invading our lives, and this is what I don't like, and this is what I can't get behind this. And also, as we said before, the main person on the top is a guy that is I don't know 70, and
Hmm.
everyone has to listen to him and everyone obeys him, and I think he's slightly insane. So I really,
Mm,
I really don't want to
tough.
follow him.
Hmm.
And it looks like we cannot really get better. That's the problem I see.
Hmm.
Uh, and also, like our opposition, it's not good either. That's the problem. They are the same people pretty much.
Interesting.
So
Elaborate on that, because normally, at least in the states, we do have the problem of the old, old versus old. But usually, when you swap parties, one will halt. They both try to halt each other's initiative, so not much gets done, no matter who's in charge. But they still have opposite views on stuff. Tell me a bit
yeah,
about why the opposition is you very similar to this current very nationalist, conservative government that's in place right now.
okay. With their ideas, they are pretty a little bit different. Okay, they are more of the centric parties usually,
Hmm.
but most of our politics or most of our parties develop from the same thing, which is collapse of Russian
Hmm.
colonization. Jesus,
Yep.
governing over the Poland, so communism in Poland. So they all got from the same area. They are all like heroes of the
Mhm.
past, and both like all of the parties there are pretty much on the have the same foundation, the two biggest parties. And at the same time, a lot of people like in Poland that really decide who will win are from the small cities and small villages. So both parties, even if they want to if they want to win, they have to do all of their I don't know the policies based on these people. And
Mm.
I'm from a big city. I've always been in like this, and none of these parties can really target me because it's a political suicide for them to like
Spend
answer
time.
my needs.
Yep. or instead of
So
going for the villages.
yeah, so they don't they don't care about me. Like in Poland, you just need to buy votes, literally. Like the current government party won the election because they literally give them away money. And
Yeah, no, I mean that is the tough part about politics. I don't know. I don't know if give you mean they literally give, but the kickbacks definitely go to key groups. In the States, one of the key groups is farmers, and so the one bipartisan bill that will always get passed is a ton of money going to farmers in the form of subsidies, because both parties are basically just saying, yeah, we'll buy your vote. We're gonna split the vote. We're all gonna throw a bunch of money at you, and let's see if we can. Or about other groups later, but we can't. Neither party can win without the farming vote. We need to take as many farmers as we can, because that's just an undecided important group, and that's easy to obtain because you just give them
yeah, this
subsidies.
is also very silly in the USA that you basically can go left and right. You don't really have a spectrum of parties. You have like
Interesting.
you pick this or you pick this, and that's
They're
pretty much a problem. In Poland, we don't have these two main parties. We have like, I don't know, now in the government there are like, I don't know, 6 parties
okay.
or 7 parties. So even when you don't like the biggest two, you still can find maybe a niche that is the closest to you. So at least there is like some room for manipulation. But
Okay.
I feel like in USA you can only pick left or right.
That's
and you
true.
will be bullied for one.
You can. That is a weakness. The benefit to that kind of system is we don't have the government failures where no party can get a majority in the legislature. Some party will always have a majority in both. We have a House and a Senate. Some party will control one or the other, or both, or neither. But that's fine. But you're correct in saying it's left or right. You pick your poison, and as you move, as more people vote one party, the line of where they're pivoting around, right? They don't pivot around much. It's just right on the line. It moves a little bit left or a little bit right, because all you need is 51%. We have a complicated system, but let's just for simplicity's sake say you need 51% of the vote. Technically, we've had a couple of presidents recently win without the majority of the votes because we have a weird system here.
That's
but
also silly.
Yeah, it was the compromise that was required to actually have the United States exist, was to say that smaller states with smaller populations get slightly more votes per citizen than larger states, because they wanted to make sure they weren't getting outvoted. But
it's so weird because you support the democracy that the most people choose the victor, and that's not the case at the same time.
Nope. I mean,
I know it's more complicated.
Yeah, I would love. I confess, I'm a pretty liberal dude. I'm much more balanced when it comes to economics, but these days economics on both parties is pretty mixed. It's a muddled. They're not positioning around it. Both are willing to spend a lot of money very quickly, and then complain when the other one does when they're not in power. And that is how both parties currently operate.
Yep.
Going back to that kickback, but right now a lot of it is ironically social issues. I find, because social issues are really easy to position around, and that's kind of where the parties are. And then I end up voting pretty liberal because I would like social freedoms, and we've been very slow at it. Or not so very slow at it. Relative to a lot of the world, we're really far ahead. We could still do better, but that's the benefit of being part of that next generation coming up. Looking at what's existing here, looking at that baseline, saying, we could do better. So,
this is funny.
Please, do you want to elaborate?
No, it's just interesting because I always I don't know why, but it's always interesting to me to look at the politics in USA. It really don't affect me, but it's still always interesting to listen to it because it's so complicated and at the same time so simple. I'm now watching Veep. I don't know if you know it.
Not familiar.
It's just a series about a comedy about how to be a vice president, and it's just so silly, and I think it's so true.
The United States system works very well by forcing neither party to do a whole lot, because the existing structures work really well. I mean, there's still plenty of people that are struggling with the system. The working poor is a group that I feel particularly bad for, where you can work 50 hours a week and not get ahead, which I think is ridiculous. So there are a lot of issues. Overall, the system has a lot of benefits, though. We produce a lot of goods. We There's a lot of money and opportunity if you're smart and you're willing to find out, seek out those opportunities for a lot of people. We still have problems. Hope to address them. But having this slightly gridlocky two-party system, I think has helped us through a lot of stuff. I do think if we
Yeah,
didn't occasionally have global problems to solve, we'd probably implode one day of just fighting ourselves. But
that's possibility.
as long as every 50 years or so there's a global crisis that we can all rally around in the States, we're not going to tear each other's throats out. It should work out fine. It's interesting as you think that the noise though between the two parties is that all right, renew Bomblin here, getting
Yeah,
the
I need
lights
to
on.
put a renew Bomblin because it's coming to a little bit too dark, but I have a special.
No
So
worries.
basically, sorry for that off topic.
Go
This
for it.
is the thing that told me that I have already 2 doses of vaccination, and I use
Nice.
this to hide the renew light. See?
Beautiful. That works out well. I like it. Congrats on the vaccinations too. I'm
Thank
glad
you very much.
that's rolling more and more out in the world. I did want to finish a quick comment on. I think the media positions both parties in the United States farther apart than they are because they're both just positioning on that line. It makes it look like everyone hates each other. But the
Hmm.
United States has survived both parties being in charge. The system works
Yeah.
really well to prevent people really pushing it. So if there's an executive branch that was trying to claim more power, then judicial and legislation reins it in, and vice versa. So it's this very gridlocky thing. It works. It's a weird system. There are things that
Yeah,
could
but
be
also,
improved, but
like you always like the parties are chosen by by this middle, right? So they
Mhm.
cannot go for extremes. Like even
Correct.
if the left wins or the right wins, they cannot really do this extreme weird stuff
Uh-huh.
because the middle is choosing them.
Right. There's a trick you can do right now, which is becoming a bigger problem in the United States. A short-term fix if you are really old and outdated, but you want old and outdated views, which is something that the nation is struggling with right now. And here's how you're supposed to work in a two-party system. If you like US politics, here's what's going on right now. If in a two-party system, let's say just for presidential elections, keep it simple. It comes up every 4 years. Every four
Hmm.
years, you look at the voter base and say, where has people changed? Oh, look, this group of people is suffering more. I can probably appeal to them with some financial aid. This group has, in general, done really well, but maybe they're now becoming more socially liberal. Maybe I'll ignore them this time around, and I'll focus on these group of farmers who've actually been really struggling. Maybe there's a drought in the Midwest. Maybe we should just pour money there. They start manipulating and calculating how they're going to get it. And the idea is that middle line where you need to cross just a little bit to steal that 51% moves accordingly. So if
Hmm.
everyone becomes more conservative, you move more conservative, and then the Liberal Party, the Democrats, have to become more conservative. And then vice versa, if the nation gets more liberal, which historically over time is the case because youth are typically pretty liberal, they come up and they want to make some changes.
Yeah.
Then you adjust as a conservative party, become just a touch more liberal, a touch more open, and you may adjust who you're trying to target with your votes. You appeal to some groups, not others, and you adjust. But there's a trick. Problem with two-party system. One party does better if more people vote in an election, historically, and one party does worse based on voter turnout. So if I said there was only 30% of the United States that votes in this, and we average around like 45, I think is a rough average, somewhere in the 40s. If I told you 30% of the United States population voted in an election, the Conservative Party is more likely to win that election, just based on the fact that the less voter turnout there is, the more likely conservatives are to win. If I told you 50% of the US population voted, an above average turnout, more likely liberals win. So the other
So
strategy
far.
you can do, instead of adjusting your position, is try to make it harder to vote or make it easier to vote. Because if you make it easier and there's less rules and restrictions, liberals will win more. And if you make it harder, conservatives will win more, which has been a very interesting debate right now. And it's going to be a lot of court cases around it as a number of
So
conservative
amazing.
states are trying to add in voter ID laws, which sounds so innocent, except unlike many European countries, there is no government issued ID to every citizen on birth. We get a social security
Hmm.
card, but it's just a number in our name, which is not valid, my understanding, and also not a document you want to be bringing to a voting booth because it gives you a lot of power. That number has a lot of influence over your life, and it gives you access to a lot of very secure things that you don't want other people access to. But they're pushing voter ID laws because they know if they can just reduce that number down on these states that are like 50% liberal, 50% conservative, they can start swinging them to conservative in the election. And we have a very winner takes all. So if conservative wins the state, then they get all the votes. If a liberal wins the state, then they get all the votes. That's been very interesting.
That's so amazing. Like it's really interesting, but it's going into like whole psychological also parts of election, etc. It's also that's in general a super interesting topic because you can manipulate with data so much, and it's again why I love data, because you can really manipulate a lot and adjust a lot of things just by looking at the data.
Yes.
For example, in Poland, we have the funny thing as well with election, because we have Poland A and Poland B. Basically, Poland B was under occupation because for more than 100 years, Poland was away from the map because we were on the occupation of Germany, Austria, and Russia. And now, if you see how this occupation looked like, there is a line exactly in the middle of the Poland where half of the Poland was on occupation of Russia and half of the was on the occupation of Germany. And if you look at anything from number of roads, number of working people, to number of like whoever votes for who, you can see that in the Poland B, everyone is voting conservative, and in the Poland A, everyone is voting liberal. So most of the time, the very like left side parties try to promote the Poland EA to vote and go vote, while they say that Poland B should not go vote, and the same opposite way.
Makes
because
sense.
It's really amazing. Like if you go to the map, you can see exactly the line when the occupation went, and people from the like Russian background are very conservative, and people with the like a German background are very liberal and very like I don't know work heavy and everything. So it's just amazing, and you cannot really fix it because it's like it's in our history.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? You try to increase, if you're like half of this, half Poland votes for me and the other half doesn't, do whatever you can to increase your half and decrease the other half, and it's beneficial, right? The paradox of not only do you want to get votes, you want to discourage your opponents from getting votes. So let me, I was going to ask, do you think that split has to do with the cultures that developed under the occupations? Or
yeah, definitely.
100%? Okay.
It's 100%. It's really, you can see the way if you study the history, I'm not very good at history, but if you study it and see what were the rules under occupation and how people had to exist in those regions and how the government was there, like I don't know, the hard, tough Germany or the laid back Russia, it's really reflected on our culture. It's really reflected on our villages and these places. It's like amazing. Like history is so influenced. Poland is so influenced by history that you just can't change it. It's in our DNA, basically.
Yeah, it sounds like that. It's defining your voting. It's defining your work culture in terms of whether you're satisfied with status quo or want changes. It's defining your current leadership, this older generation staying in power. It sounds, history and the occupation of Poland seems to define modern day life in Poland, and that's getting you to the point as somebody who's very proud of Warsaw, from what I can tell, you really like it there. You would love to stay, but you're thinking about leaving it, not because of the standard of living, because man, the politics suck. It's just out of touch with reality. You're like, maybe I should go somewhere else. That's insane.
Yeah, but I'm also very open. Like I'm not really like I lost the word in English, but I don't really like. I love Warsaw, but I don't really care about it at the same time that much. I mean, I'm not a big supporter of. Like I'm not a nationalist in this way. Like I just feel like I'm a member of the world. You know, I don't care where I live. I don't know where I'm from. I don't know who is from where. Just be decent people.
That's wonderful. Now, the idea of being a member of the world is like a really grand and lovely thing, right? Not me versus the rest of the world. Just like, we're all stuck on this planet. Why don't we divide by?
Why would I care that you speak, I don't know, Chinese or you are black? Like, I don't care. I really don't care.
I love that. I completely agree. I care in the sense of I'd love to learn about what that's meant for you. And, like being white in the United States is a very different experience than being black, being of Asian descent, etc., etc., being from a country in South America. Like, I can't share those experiences. I only know the experience of being born white and into a very middle class family, having a fair bit of privilege.
Yeah.
And so you have to acknowledge the historical context and the influence it leaves. But at the end of the day, whether I'm going to use it as a positive or a negative trait, no, it's not. That's not what it's about. It might help define your culture, your life experiences, and your current thoughts on the state of the world, as well as your monetary position. But it's not going to define you as, it's a positive or negative based on the color of your skin.
I mean, I want to just to say, to not feel, to not sound like I'm ignorant and I don't care about any people. I didn't mean that. I mean, like,
no, I know what you mean.
I'm happy to learn about you. I just what you look where you're from won't affect my view on you,
right?
Because I really don't care about your background.
Yeah, and
I'm interested in you as a person in general. I was like whoever I meet, because it's just cool to learn about some stuff. And like, even we all think we are from the same Western, culture, but we are so different.
Yes,
it's not the same.
It's
so cool to know others.
Yeah, it's not even bad that there's different cultures and stuff. The artificial barriers based on skin color are not okay, obviously, but I feel like for you it came through loud and clear that you were just talking about being a world citizen, loving everyone, and wanting also not caring to a degree of trying to say these people are better than others. As you've come through clear, world citizen, not nationalist. You talked about having openly gay friends in Poland. That is a divisive issue, if I recall correctly.
Oh yes.
I'm glad my Polish my understanding of current Polish politics is up to date. It's good. It's been a while since I checked up on it. Also you made it loud and clear that you just live your life and you care about other people for just being people. So don't worry. You came through loud and clear, at least on my end. I understood what you're going for.
Okay, good.
So let's do a quick pivot here. I did want to ask you, hopping back to your work career. And wanted to ask you about your job change. I know this is a bit of a jump back, but your job change from going to a very lax environment to a very busy environment, because I think that was an interesting one, where now it's going from the laid back, this cultural sense of be happy with the status quo, to financial auditing, which is wild, has that drive, also that probably produces some of the results you talked about earlier that you dislike, where you can get in control of an organization pretty quick, potentially because you're grinding 14 hours a day, work your way up the ladder. And you get to this environment. I just want to know a little bit more about that experience. What happens, or how do you come to terms of having too much on your hands? I know this is a bit of a jump back, but I didn't want to lose the thought.
Yeah, sure. So, as I said, I like being busy. I really like being busy. And in the audit, you are really busy all the time. The problem I had with the work is that I'm really not that good at the math, and I'm really not that good at finance.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, okay, so you're bad at all that. You described, actually, initially, that you didn't have the background for this, and you got the job anyways. Yeah. 2 questions. I guess actually 1. Why did they hire you?
That's a very good question, and I still can answer this question, and I still don't know why did they hire me. Because I really had no background. I really had completely no knowledge about Polish law of accounting that is very needed at this work. Basically, we give recommendation of accounting, so I had to give my recommendation of accounting, and I had no clue what are the rules of the accounting. So that was quite funny. But one of my good traits that I have in my life is that I can adapt quickly, and I can pretend that I know what I'm talking about. So I use this in my work in audit. So I was basically lying my way through the ladder. I was pretending that I know what I'm doing, but it worked quite well, because I was also one of the earliest person to be promoted to the next level. So usually you like go after a year. I went
Okay.
up after 8 years, and I still don't understand why. I think I just some correct people liked me, and that's I just talk to them in a correct way. That's also another problem of corporation.
Yes. The
And they
corporate
just
culture.
gave me a bonus for no reason. But then I realized after a while that I really need a passion in my life, because I
Yep.
can't do something that I absolutely hate, and I can't do it. And it was like, I'm done pretending, because if I really, I don't like doing stuff in a scuffed way. You know,
Mm-hmm.
even in my high school, if I didn't know that the answer what I want to give is 100% correct, I would never, I don't know, raise my hand or something to answer
Interesting.
the question, because I always want to be sure. I always want to know that what I'm doing, what I decided to do, is 100% correct. And in this work, I had absolutely no clue what I'm doing. So it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty much against all of my principles. So I thought I can't do it that long, and I learned a lot in this work, and it helped me increase my Excel skills.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. I cannot. If I would stay there further, it means that I will have to do it for my whole life. Because if you are in audit, you don't escape audit. It's just it's your path, and that's it. And I didn't want to be in that path, so I basically decided to quit. And maybe that the problem is that now I need a job and I don't have it, but at least I am happy, and I think that's also important.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to be said about being happy. Before we get into that, I did want to ask you a bit about perfectionism. Because
Mhm.
there's a tough balance between not knowing anything and doing too well at something in terms of making sure 2 minutes, spending too much time on every detail. How do you balance trying new things and failing with your drive to have this perfectionist outcome where everything is
I,
good?
I actually think I'm very bad at it, because
Okay.
I don't risk enough, because I like to be perfect. That's the problem. I don't do a lot of stuff. I'm just too afraid of trying stuff. I know I could do some stuff and I have ideas, but I'm like, what if I fail? What if I am not 100% correct? And I don't do this stuff. So this was my problem all the time. I like, even after my high school, even choosing my high school was not decision that I wanted, but that was a comfortable decision for me. That's why I did that. That was the same with this bachelor degree. I just went there because that was a safe option, not what I wanted to do, and that I struggled my whole life with. I'm always looking for the comfortable way, because I'm too afraid to take a risky path. And so you ask me how do I deal with it, and the problem is I don't, and I should.
Interesting. Okay. So this is, give me a moment. I'm going to take a short break here because this is the moment I needed to use the restroom. So we're back after a brief break, and I want to pick up where we left off, where you're talking about how you play it a little bit too close to the chest, not enough risk. You like to, when you make a decision, know you're going to be fine. So the easiest example you gave was raising your hand in class only when you're 100% sure about the answer. You're not going to wing it. How did you go into streaming then? Because that is a very risky move. It is currently not, I don't believe, even though it does sound like you're doing it full time, you don't currently have another job. It's not currently sustainable. You're living partially off your savings.
Mhm.
How did you make that jump? Because that does not strike me as a perfectionist jump.
Yeah, I think I was at the point of my life that I really started to realize that if I continue to do what I do, I will do it for the rest of my life. And I
Hmm.
really didn't want to do it. And I thought like, maybe it's finally time to do this risk. And I know I was for like last 20 years of my life were very comfortable. So maybe now it's finally time to do this jump. And uh, well, I of course calculated everything, and I calculated that I can afford at least few months of this. And I thought maybe I can just find a better job, even if it's gonna be a different corporation. I'm just tired. And another thing is, I think that was like enough of that job was that I really got depressed from this job, and I thought like whatever I choose, it's just healthy for me to just drop this job. It's like whatever risk I take, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna really, not literally, but really die inside from this job. So I just really need to quit it. So it was also sort of a health decision, let's call it, I think.
That makes sense. There is, I give you a lot of respect, and because you were able to tap into your mental health, see the path, and hop off of it. I didn't realize for myself when I worked in a corporate environment how bad it was on my mental health until after I'd chosen to leave and try my own entrepreneurial ideas. When I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. I was definitely not in a good place. And I think it takes a lot of guts to say, this path, this financial audit path, it's a career that will take my whole life. I do not like the work I'm doing. Though, even though you kind of undersold saying, I don't know what you're doing, but you are getting really fast promotions, it sounds like you're being pretty successful there. You leave. You leave to go from a place, a perfect path, to a very up in the air path, trying to find another career pivot. In many ways, you're what? You pivoted from undergrad to grad, your master's program, where it was a different degree. Then you went into Google AdWords. Then you went into financial auditing. Now you're on streaming. Your path is all over the place, despite being a perfectionist. Yeah. And you're ready to do another pivot. That's very impressive.
Yeah, that's why, like, I sometimes think that some of my decisions maybe in the past were wrong. But if you realize it, that's also good, at least for your mental health, I think.
Yeah, it depends on whether you view it as wrong or just learning. Because at the end of the day, Bomblin, or Chris, you're really quite young. I'm quite young. We have when we think about careers, we're still thinking 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
We have to try things and figure out what we want to commit. That's a lot of time. I'd rather try out 5, 6 different careers when I'm young, so I find one I like and then pursue that path to its ultimatum. Then YOLO it, hope I hit the right one from the get-go, and if I don't do any pivoting. And I think
but as we said before, I think the other problem is that in Poland, the mentality is that if you find a stable job, you are good there. And all of my friends are having a good, stable job, even if they don't like them, they are there and they are having like good amount of money and they have a safe life. So also the problem I had here is that when I did this risky decision, I don't really have a lot of support.
Yes.
I mean, everyone is supporting me like, yeah, we wish you everything. But I see that a lot of people, including my parents or like my friends, think that the decision was very dumb, or like that's my assumption. That's what they think about me. Because I had this stable job that I could, develop. But it's in Polish mentality that my decision was like very wrong, So I also have to battle this mentality that is not really used to these weird decisions.
Yes, and it's not easy. I remember when I left finance, right? I have this nice illustrious career, I was having a lot of corporate success, went from finance into wanting to make my own little company that teaches people finance. That sounded really good to people. Then after I failed 2 attempts at that and then accidentally stumbled my way into streaming Gwent and then realized I could potentially use this as my starting point because I was having success where I wasn't supposed to be. I was like, okay, this is abnormal. I'm going to keep riding this abnormal wave and see where it goes. During that time, everyone's like, John, what are you doing? It's like, look, I'm playing Gwent for 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And it doesn't sell very well. When you were saying, and then you have to make the YouTube videos, so you're working 67 hours a week. People ask you what you do, you say, "Oh, I play a video game." It doesn't have that je ne sais quoi, that stuff that makes people feel really great about you. But that is a challenge as a streamer. If you're gonna do the path, you have to overcome, because most people aren't gonna get it, especially the older generations, because streaming is new to them. They don't get it, but yet, if you want to do it, you're gonna have to go through that barrier. They'll support you in words, even support you in actions, but there's always going to be that barrier of no one fully gets it most of the time.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
Mhm.
And it's also funny during streaming that when you see sometimes this one person is coming, like you have this whole community that is very helpful and cheerful and they support you and it's amazing. And then
Mhm.
there is one person that comes in and asks you, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm currently on the streaming Gwent. And
Yep.
you see all of this job, KW and LUL. Uh, I, people don't realize it's not that easy, or
Mm-mm.
like when they come and like comment off on all your misplays and on stuff, it's remember guys, it's not that easy to focus on chat, on game
Mhm.
and everything and be uh, happy, or at least acceptable happy for like 8 hours like you stream. It's just
Mhm.
crazy amount of time to sit in front of computer and to smile to people. Like even if you, I don't know, work like in the any other job like I did in finance, in audit, it didn't mean that I have to talk with people for 8 hours.
Mhm.
It's really different and it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. I should also correct and send. I used to stream 8 hours, 6 days a week. Now I'm down to 7. I've actually cut back a little bit just so I have time to do the other stuff that goes into it. And it's not easy. There is a lot of pressure on stream. There's no breaks. You're go go go. You have to interact with chat while you have a timer to figure out what card you're gonna play. Misplays happen all the time. There's no way to avoid it if you're streaming and want to interact with your viewers. And if you aren't going to interact with your viewers, why are you streaming? So misplays happen. You take that criticism. You have to be able to take the internet community judging you on what you're doing without full appreciation
Mhm.
of it. And it requires a lot of will just to keep chugging through. Not saying that everybody viewing you is discouraging. I've had, especially in the Gwent community, a lot of support, really kind people backing you up. But it's hard to fully fathom how many hours it takes to really do this or have a shot at it.
Yeah, but I
And
really
Mhm.
want to again say
Mhm.
that
Please.
I absolutely love it. So it's like I'm not trying to complain that ooh, it's hard, give me a break. It's just some people just don't realize it, that
Hmm.
it's not as easy as it looks. But at the same time, well, it's playing game and you earn some money for it, so it's really cool at the same time. I would love to do it like full time and committed. It's just super nice if I could do it. So don't get me wrong, guys. It's still a pleasure to have you there every time.
Good clarification. So, how are you going to make this decision? Because it sounds like not fully sustainable at this moment if you're streaming. Are
Mhm.
you thinking that you're going to try to turn it into fully sustainable? Are you going to pick a part time job up with that? Or are you going to eventually dial back on the streaming and go to another full time career?
I'm not sure yet because I really would love to do it full time. I really would love to because I really enjoy it, and it's finally I can be creative at all, and I have all my own decisions. I just love it. Uh, but well, yeah, it's I also need to buy bread and eat something.
Yes.
So I think I will. My further plan is that I probably will try to find another job and move streaming to a little bit, I don't know, evening hours and stream for only a little bit less, but still have a work. And maybe, but at the same time, maybe I can at the same time grow my channel and maybe do it anyway full time. Like after
Hmm.
a while, maybe with some breakpoints. But at the same time, maybe for my YouTube will randomly start to be successful, and maybe I can generate enough revenue
You're
to
good.
survive. And then if I can survive from it, then it means that I can grow it even more to have a stable income. And maybe I can reach this point. I am still not sure which path I want to take. I would, of
Hmm.
course, love to do it full time, but I honestly don't know if it's possible. Just simple as that.
That's fair. And that is the tough reality of the fact that streaming is a business. There is
Yeah.
X number of dollars to cover your costs. And if you're not hitting that, you're burning for your savings. If your savings run out, it's over. You got to go find an actual job. Or, like, not an actual job, but a traditional job. Go to a workplace, make your steady paycheck, live a comfortable life. But if you can swing it as a streamer, it's pretty awesome. But you do need to, as you mentioned, grow out multiple revenue sources. So I'm also not currently sustainable, but I have revenue from Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon. And all of those every day are getting me a little bit closer to sustainability.
Yeah, and each day, you know, when you do it, you feel like you grow and you have this one step closer to make it sustainable, and just it keeps you going, to be honest. And but at the same time, even if I would go back to work and I will earn a lot of potential money in the standard job, I would still love to stream because I just like it. It's just really fun to stream for me. I discovered that I like in my real life I'm very closed and shy person, but on the streams I can just be open and I can talk, and it's just fun.
Yes, and I find that the same. I'm a hardcore introvert, but when I am able to interact over the streaming with chat, it's much easier for me to be extroverted and really interact with them, laugh, do some teasing back and forth. Then in real life, it's much more difficult. I don't know. I'm not as comfortable figuring out exactly when I should be talking, exactly when the conversation is shifting. And sometimes I miss a social cue here and there. But hey, streaming is a different beast, and if it works, it works. What are some of the ways you're trying to grow out your revenue to potentially make this? It sounds like it's still up in the air. It sounds like you're likely going to end up with another job, but if streaming grows enough, hey, maybe it really will be on the table. You mentioned YouTube. Are you trying to grow there? Are there other places you're trying to grow? How are you approaching trying to build revenue from the stream?
Okay, so basically, I have, of course, I get some money from Twitch, and it's cool. I now got a partner status. Hey,
yeah.
So I get a tiny bit more from it. So it's a nice step into the right direction. But also, I'm trying to grow my YouTube, but I'm not sure if I'm doing with my YouTube what I would love to do, because most of the time I just upload some highlights from the stream and share like decks or something like this. And it's cool. It's slowly growing. But at the same time, I always, when I upload these videos, I feel like my creativity is a little bit lacking, and I could do more with it. And I want to show people that I can do something more than just a blunt talk about one deck every time. So I'm every day considering doing like different YouTube channel, another YouTube channel, just for something different, not only Gwent related. But every time I have this again hit of perfectionism that I'm afraid of doing it because I feel like it will be a failure. So I'm not doing this. Plus, people again, it really takes a lot of time. It really takes a lot of time to, after like 5-6 hours day of streaming, then you eat. Then if I would like to write a script, I don't know, record something, then edit it, I kind of don't know if I have time for this because I at the same time, I don't know, looking for a job or something. It's just a lot of time, and I still, I'm afraid that I cannot do it perfectly, so it holds me back again. But probably I should just do it.
Yeah, I'm someone who doesn't have, or at least doesn't struggle with that personally in terms of, I have my own struggles, obviously. But I found a lot of success not having a perfectionist mentality in just doing it. The faster I learn and fail, the faster I know how not to fail next time. So all I'm trying to say is not saying I'm better than you, but I'm trying to say go for it. As one of my favorite animes once said, nothing happens until you swing the bat. So might as well swing the bat, see if you fail, and work from there and figure out what went wrong.
Yeah, we have also this joke common, like, please God, let me win the lottery. And the God is like, but buy the fucking lottery ticket.
Exactly. I love that.
It can't just happen. But coming back to the question, I try to develop on other platforms. I try to make like a Instagram account, or like or like if I have Discord. But the problem is I really hate social media. Every time I'm like, I post a picture, then I'm like, but who cares? I went to the mountains recently with my dad, and like I'm not a type of person that goes to the, I don't know, holidays and like uh, take the pictures of everything that I
Yep.
see, because I love to like experience it. I don't like taking pictures and look at them later. I want to like fully focus on the what I'm seeing. So like I went into the mountains with my dad. I like clicked a random picture like this and like, okay, I'm done. I want to watch the view. And then I
Okay.
wrote an Instagram post like, look at these beautiful mountains. They are so cool. And I really mean it, but at the same time I feel so fake when I do it.
Yep.
I have the same with when I try to like I have a command for my YouTube channel on the stream, and sometimes you get a write from someone, and so maybe you can join also my YouTube channel, and I put this command, and I feel so bad every time, and I don't even know. I just really hate self-promoting, which is stupid because it's very important in this job. But
Yeah.
I really feel bad every time I do it.
Yeah, Chris, I would really have to do some self-examination. Well, actually, let me ask you. Let me just dive in a little bit. Why do you feel bad? You say it feels fake to you, and that's not good. You should be really ideally showing the self you want to show. Why? What's making you feel bad in particular?
To be honest, I really don't understand it. I think it might be some sort of part of my depression or something that I really don't want people to like judge me, or I like when I make them like go watch this YouTube, and then they will say, "Oh, this sucks," so I will feel bad that I didn't deliver the perfect video for them or something like this. I
Hmm.
I, I think every time everything resolves around this problem of being perfectionist. Like I really want to deliver the best content, and
Hmm.
I feel about like, oh, they will call me a sellout or something, or oh, they will call me this is a garbage, or oh, why you are self-promoting, and I have all of these thoughts in my head. That just prevents me from doing anything.
There's two business ideas I've run into that might be able to help you here a little bit. They might strike a chord. So I'm just gonna toss them out there. There was a TED Talk, man. I can't believe it. I'm trying to go from my memory and source it as well. There's a TED Talk talking about the difference between successful people and not successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the key difference was both of them would try something, and then the successful people would skip the next step, and the non-successful people would run into it, which is feel bad that you failed. And what successful people were doing is they were saying, I expect failure. Like failure, it's probably going to happen. It's my first time trying something. Who cares? Everybody fails. Let's try again. And they would rinse and repeat those two steps until they hit success. They would just have such a detachment from the outcome on a personal level by saying, I'm giving my best. It's just my first attempt, second attempt, 10th attempt. Probably going to fail. Who cares? If I don't succeed now, let me try another attempt. I
Yeah,
wonder.
that's amazing. That actually I should follow this.
Yeah, because it sounds like you're taking these comments personally. I know on my YouTube, I get a bunch of nasty comments. Some people are like, on this exact timestamp, John, you should have played this card because it was strictly superior to given the circumstances that you've seen. And I've
Yes.
occasionally commented, yeah, you're right. I botched it. I'm also the person with the awesome YouTube channel. And I'm also the person having to juggle chat interactions. And after I, stream for your 7 hours, 6 days a week, so it's already more than 42 hours, right? It's more than your average week. I also then have to go put in 3 or 4 more hours of work just to get everything ready for the next stream and keep the content flowing. You don't see
Yeah.
all that. I'm probably working 20 plus hours more than you are. I have more pressure when I'm playing Gwent than you have, and you can leave that comment. It just is meaningless. I'm going to say, you're right, and that's the end of our discussion. But I don't have a personal attachment because I know there's so much more that goes into it. It sounds like, though, you do have that personal attachment, which
Yeah,
is a
but this
barrier.
is crazy because at the same time I'm like whatever. Like when I
Mm
see this, this is amazing because I'm afraid of these comments. I'm afraid of this stuff that might happen. But when I see them, I'm like whatever.
hmm. Uh huh. Interesting. So you have that fear. Oh man, what I think I forgot. I think I forgot my. Oh no, hold on. Let me write down another thought. I have another thought on top of that.
Mm.
And then it has, so I have another 2 thoughts on it instead of just 2. Now I have 3 total. And okay, just writing it down so I don't forget. Another thought that comes to mind that might help you is, there it goes. That was the exact one. Hold on. It's coming. Sales mentality. Sales mentality. So I talked about this actually at the one Christo. I know you heard my interview of that Chris, right? The other Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, I had mentioned how there is that how selling is a really ethical thing if you're doing it right. Where if you believe in what you're putting out, you should absolutely want people to buy into it. So when I was talking with the one Christo, he feels great about selling because he believes in his product, in the solution he's providing to the people, bring it to him. And it's why it makes him so successful. He's okay doing cold calls, which is one of the most brutal ways to sell because you're going from nothing, if not a negative, because you're bothering someone during their day. And he has to go from all the way down low, all the way to the sale and help the person improve the life. But because he believes he's improving their lives, he doesn't mind. I wonder if there's a struggle with the perfectionist in your content and that feeling of lack of creativity where you hesitate to sell it because maybe you're not sure of your content. Would you think it would change at all if you loved your content a little bit more? You'd be more.
Yeah, I think I would agree because, as I said, I sometimes feel like I could give people more, and when I just do a deck guide and I just put a deck and just talk about it for 3 minutes, I feel like it's scuffed or like it could have been more, and maybe that's why I'm like a little bit hesitate to show all of this stuff because I could have done more for you guys.
Interesting. And then I would say the third, that makes a lot of sense, right? That perfectionist mentality saying, I could have done a little, I could have gone even further, giving you something extra awesome instead of just another deck guide, and I didn't. But of course, you have to juggle the means right now of being a full-time streamer. Well, also, you haven't mentioned it, but you might be thinking about what your next career choice should be if you're trying to balance the two. There's a lot of pressure there. I think it's okay to put out a deck guide. I know the way I view it, it's almost like filler content to a degree, where if somebody misses your stream, they can catch up, see what deck you were playing and the deck guide you put together. A lot of my videos fall in that category. And then we do stuff like this interview, conversation thing, behind the streamer is what's currently called. It'll probably go for another name change one of these days. But there is this premium content I put out as well, which requires a lot more effort on my part because I had to dig through every tweet that Twitter would load for me that you've ever tweeted. I went to Bandit Gang, which is our Gwent team you're on, found your profile there. I read anything I found on YouTube I could read, etc., and did my hour research on you to figure out what makes you work, and that is that extra mile so we can do something like this and have a great conversation. It's okay to mix that up. You're gonna have to mix that up. I look at probably the most successful streamers, at least one of the top 5, which is Ludwig. Ludwig is explained, a third of my content is really premium, well-prepared stuff. And a lot of the rest of it is just me playing video games. And I need that filler content to have time to do the other stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's sometimes you can, like, I remember when I tried to put like one video every day. Sometimes then I, for example, go for weekend with my friends. I needed something to just cover this area, so I just made another deck and put another video and like schedule this. But at the same time, I don't know why I'm so hesitant because I really haven't really seen any like hateful comments like, oh, this content is boring. I've seen like comments that people come and say, oh, I've seen this new cool deck that you play on the YouTube. Thank you for this. Yet I'm still like stressed about it,
It's definitely a very public eye and very humbling thing to see people who comment. And sometimes I don't even know what to say. I remember recently somebody on my video said, am I the only one that doesn't understand how he talks, or like can't understand what he's saying when he's talking? And I was like, well, that sucks. You're basically saying my voice is terrible. And on that video, I had plenty of comments saying, oh, John, this deck is great. I really liked what you did. I laughed here. It was a great time. Then the negative comment, I generalize all those positive ones, but I remember very much that one person wrote, dude, I just can't understand them. I can't understand what John is saying. Am I the only one here? Am I the lunatic? And I wanted to be, I personally would love to say, yes, you are. But I really didn't know what the right, positive, happy answer is. Not saying that I don't occasionally mumble. That is a habit. But I didn't mumble for that whole hour-long video. No, you could understand me. Listen. It's hard,
Yeah,
though, to lose that
but it's
negativity.
this one mean comment that is just, triggering you.
Yeah, and that's why you have to take it not personally. There's just nasty people in the world. And if you, and this is the final thing that works, I think, really well for me in terms of overcoming the negativity online, my personal goals are astronomic in scale. I know what I want. I know what I'm building towards. It's lunacy and almost impossible to hit. I think it's possible to hit. It might actually be impossible to hit for all the goals. Even the next goal I'm doing, the goal I would like to do by the end of July 2022. So as of right now, I have like 3 weeks and 12 months. I want to have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I want to have 1,000 people watching per stream. So
I think it's possible. That's the thing, because I don't set up these goals, and I think I should, because of that I'm getting lazy, because I'm a very lazy person, and if I can avoid doing something, I avoid it. And I think when you set these bars for you and set these goals, you then try to work for them. And I think that's another thing that I'm lacking. I should really set up these goals. One of these goals I actually had was to get the partner status. I really wanted this, really for no reason, but I saw that there is a chance to get it, so I really pursued it, and I really focus on getting it. But and I really now from the like looking at the past, I see that I really focus on getting that, and I got it. So maybe it's possible when you focus and you really put this goal, you can achieve it. And now I don't have this goal, and maybe it's time to make one.
Yeah, it sounds like, so I had a similar goal, ironically. I didn't want to necessarily get the partner status. I expected to get rejected, but I wanted to qualify the 75 viewers per month that wasn't coming from hosts and raids. Basically, you had to generate the viewership yourself. That was my initial goal from sometime like mid-December to the end of July 2021, and I hit that ahead of schedule. So I can't apply. Eventually, I'll get partner. But as soon as that went, I had to set myself another goal if I want to have the outcomes. So maybe it's time for, it sounds like, I think you have the right mindset, in my opinion anyways. It's time to set another goal. For you, it could be as easy as saying, am I going to hit a certain level of income before my savings run out? That means if I'm growing fast, I might be able to really make it sustainable. Or in 2 months, if I'm only generating 50% of what I'm supposed to be making, at that point I have to give up and go find a career. And then do streaming more as a hobby or a part-time job.
Yeah, I think it's time. Also, I just quickly noticed, it's not that I'm bored that I'm now outside, but I had to put my leg on the stool.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
so it's higher. So I'm sorry for this laid back position, but
be laid back. I'll be honest, I'm just staring at the webcam because that makes me look engaged to the viewers. Ironically, I can't stare at you when I do that. So you could probably sneak like signs up on the screen and I would miss them because I'm just staring up instead of at you. Like this is my at you, but for everyone else watching, it's the down look. But if I look above my monitor, then it looks like I'm looking straight at the people watching. I've decided that is a better look. So no, you can be laid back as long as you can see the stream of how I stream this. You can see as long as your face is on the camera. It's all good. No worries.
Okay, that's perfect. Sorry, so that was like a.
Please, no big deal. No big deal. So how would you, or how do you think you're gonna go about setting these goals? Do you have any initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think I really want to get, first of all, I have this goal of 1K subscribers on YouTube. I really want to get there because this is a magic number, and you know why.
It's all about that money.
Exactly, and I'm just curious how this works because I'm just interested in this all of these mechanics of YouTube. Just from the personal level, I'm just interested how it works. But at the same time, I would love to put more not Gwent focused content, and I would love to do a second YouTube for that. But I have so many ideas that I think I need to figure out one and just do the one, because we don't have time for doing like 5 ideas at the same time.
Yeah, and I agree. I used to have when I was trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And that's when YouTube will start paying you for your videos based on ad revenue, which is a magic moment and actually significantly increased the amount of income I have. And I actually got there before I decided to monetize Twitch too, which is also very nice. But with all that said, I used to have a second channel and I produced content for it, but it was not growing fast enough. I had to give it up because it wasn't growing at the rate of need to ever potentially hit sustainability. And that's going to be a tough thing I expect for you in terms of if you have 5 videos, you pick one, start another channel. All the work that goes into the other channel is starting from 0 subscribers, where right now you're, I think, a little over 675.
Yeah.
And that's time that's not getting you close to that 1,000, which if you had 1,000, you might double your income. And then if you double your income, maybe the full-time streaming becomes more realistic. I don't know how close you are right now with just the Twitch.
Yeah, maybe I should just focus on one, But I have these things that for example, I have a great idea for YouTube, but then I think about how I need to edit it because I do really low amount of editing on my videos because I'm just too lazy after the streams to then watch it and edit it enough. And I think about how I could do it, how I could make these videos better and edit it better. And I'm like, I just don't want to do it when it will increase the viewer by like 2 viewers just to and I spent like 4 hours because it's annoying when you put like 4 or 5 hours into it and then it gives you like nothing back, and if I want to do it as often as I wanted to, like every day or like every second video, it's just too exhausting. And I at the same time I don't want to burn out from this because I really enjoy doing it.
And that is a real concern if you try to do everything at the same time of all that editing. I know for myself, I had to compromise at a point saying, look, if I'm going to stream 7 hours a day and make 1 or 2 YouTube videos out of it while prepping future streams and then setting up this more premium, high effort content, only way I'm going to do that is if I have a very good set formula for how editing is going to work. I'm not an editing specialist. I don't have a background in this. I need to be quick. I need to be straightforward. I still need to produce a good product, a good piece of content. And that is what worked for me. Maybe keep that in mind. I found that my most edited content did really poorly, but I usually tried to do edited content on, did a lot of editing towards content that I was nervous about, that I wanted to experiment with. And even then, people still prefer my lower edited content, but that was more of what was already working. A lot of great deck gameplay videos of all kinds of wackiness. What people loved, so I kept producing it. The balance between
like
filler
at the same
and
time, you try to find a different way, but in the end, people really just look for new decks and new strategies. Like it's really like when you want to experiment with something different, but then you realize that people actually enjoy those and they are looking for those. So maybe also I shouldn't be too harsh on myself. Also, I have 2 fun facts. Fun fact number 1, I edit all of these videos I do on Windows Movie Maker, which is the worst program ever on the entire planet. Which means that I cannot do much editing there because this program is just garbage. And fun fact 2, do you know that I used to study bachelor in the movie school and I studied 3 years of directing and editing. That's a fun fact.
Oh, that's
so
not
I have
a background.
Yeah, I have a tiny bit background in this editing. So, when I think how much I can do and how much I don't do, it's just triggering me.
Yeah, if this helps you at all, I'm on Adobe right now, so I'm paying for the Adobe suite as my editing software. But I remember before that, the free editor I was using is one called OpenShot. Maybe take a look at that. That might be able to help you here.
Right. Like I have one also from, I don't remember the name now, from Enzo. He's a Bandit Gang member as well, and he was doing YouTube videos for Bandit Gang. And he gave me one of the free program as well. And it's actually working quite well to edit there. But in the end, when I just need to cut the stream and that's it, I can just quickly do it in Windows Movie Maker, which sounds terrible, but it's working.
If it's working, and it's growing your viewer base and it's making your subscribers happy, don't shoot the golden goose. Just let it keep working. And then as you experiment with other stuff, go to a different editor, and that makes a lot of sense.
But
So,
the moment when you click this Windows Movie Maker, my heart is crying for help.
fair enough, fair enough. I have another question for you on a slightly
Yeah.
unrelated topic. We talked a little bit before the stream, or not before the stream, before this, about the Bandit Gang, because I've been interviewing Dempai, who's general manager, one Christo is a member of it, you're a member of it. This Gwent esports team, content creation group. You used to be on the pro team for the Bandit Gang, and then you decided to step down. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that.
So I wasn't exactly the pro team. I never wanted to be a pro player. I never
Okay.
wanted to play like super competitively. So my history with Bandit Gang is that I love making Excel spreadsheets. I just love them because you can look at the data in a very cute way, and you can learn a lot. And in the past, I made few tier lists on the Excel and a few guides that would help new players, and I posted them on Reddit. And then I was approached by Driftblink, who used to be a pro team like manager in Bandit Gang, and he asked me if I want to help the pro team of Bandit Gang to develop some tools to improve their plays. So basically, I started in Bandit Gang as a guy from spreadsheets, and I prepared I think pretty cute Excel for them, so they can like fill them out after each game, and they see the results like which coin win, what cards won them, what if they went first with what faction against what. So basically, they had this tool to track their data, and that's why I was like, I started in a pro team of Bandit Gang, because I just helped them with the pretty much the data management. But then when I started to stream more, and when we had a change of management in Bandit Gang because the Driftblink went to Team Aretuza, the project kind of died of these spreadsheets, and I just started to create more content, and well, the guys were like, okay, so guess we are in the content team right now. And I was happy about it.
Perfect. It sounds like it was good for a while. It got you using Excel, which you love. Because at the end of the day, everything on the internet is an Excel spreadsheet. So might as well love it. And also in your case, it's such a great way to see the data. And then it sounds like you've had your time there, and then you moved on to content creation, and you like that too. So it sounds like it was just good move after good move. I like it.
I still try to help the guys with some data if they have something, if we can work on something. Like even recently, like I talked with Sawyer, and we try to make some stuff looking at the data. So it's still there. I'm still like the data person, but at the same time, it's funny because I'm very bad at math and I cannot really do this stuff. I just like, I just like spreadsheets.
Yeah, you know what? If you like spreadsheets, you like spreadsheets. That is what it is, right? It's nothing to be ashamed of. So, how are you going to figure out whether the future for you is going to be on a full-time career, streaming kind of good, relegated to part-time, or not at all, or whether you can do streaming full-time? Do you have I know you haven't set goals for yourself, but do you have a time frame for this?
To be honest, not really. Like in general, I think I can be like super comfortable with my with my savings until like the end of holidays, pretty much like end of September, something like. So I will be like super okay, and I can be quite calm still about my future. But after that, I should really look for the job if my channel is growing not fast enough. And also, to be honest, it's not that easy in Poland to find a job that you like. So I still, when I find like from time to time, I go and check the offers, and if there is something interesting, I of course send my resume and everything, and maybe I will find it. But at the same time, I don't want to rush it because I don't want to end up again in the situation where I get to cover corporation and I really hate the job and I just do this to exist. So I really want to avoid it because I know that then in the next 2 years I will drop again and we will have the same situation that we have now.
Yep.
So I would love to avoid that.
That makes a lot of sense, right? Because you've had this experience multiple times, not finding the right job, which forces a transition. But ideally, you want to find the job you love, whether it's going to be in the corporate world or a full-time streaming gig, whatever it is, you want it to be sustainable, something you're not going to get burnt out doing, something that'll keep you busy and engaged, but not overwhelm you and consume your life. I like it.
Yeah, like I still hope like I can do it full time. I would really love this full time, and I think I also hold some ideas because I don't do it full time, and I don't treat it as a job, and I think I should. I should be like, okay, you committed like 4 hours today for the stream. That's not enough. Usually in the work you would work at least 8 hours. So go now, sit at the computer and work on your YouTube videos. Don't like turn on the game and like eat lunch to Rick and Morty for the whole rest of the day. You should do something.
Yeah, and that's hard. I remember sometimes, especially when I felt that I wasn't being successful with my 2 ideas before streaming, occasionally I'd find myself in that kind of a rut where I do some work and I'd be like, it was good enough. We're just going to chill for a while. Or I get distracted when I'm trying to work. But if you want to make it full time, as much as I hate to say it, it's a passion industry with lots of people and no barrier to entry. Anyone can turn on a webcam on their laptop that has a built-in mic and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the average is like 60 to 70 hours of work a week. And that's tough.
Yeah, and I think I lack a little bit of this discipline at the moment, and I should really work on it.
Yeah, it's a tough paradox. I imagine that also the perfectionism gets in the way a little bit because you're going to need to fail. Most people fail many times before they succeed. Even the most successful people like Dream, 1 million subscribers in a year. My understanding is he had multiple failed attempts prior. He just felt like this is going to be the one. This is going to be the attempt. And it was the successful attempt. But he had to fail a lot before then. Putting in a lot of hours. Getting from 0 to 1 million in a year. He just had to consume his life. So
yeah,
comes with the beast that is streaming. Why don't we go ahead and transition over to some Q&A, because I know you definitely have some coming your way. If a fan of yours would come visit you in Poland, would you take them out for a beer?
That's an interesting question. Depends on which person, to be honest.
Interesting.
Because if it's someone that I interact a lot with and I kind of can understand him, like in the way what kind of person he is, then I wouldn't mind meeting him in the city, in the public, you know. But I have a very big imagination, and every time I hear about someone from internet, I think he might be creep and want to kill me. So I wouldn't, for example, invite anyone to like my flat, you know, for a beer, for example. That was crazy because, for example, you know Arya from Bandit Gang. We know each other for like roughly a year, maybe less. And we chat sometimes on the Discord, of course. We chat during the stream. We visit each other on the stream. We chat off stream. And she came to visit me. And for me, maybe that's because of how Polish I am. That was crazy. Like the unknown girl is coming to my city and is coming and want to meet me. Like my mom, when he heard about it, she was like, oh my God, does she know that you won't rape her or anything like this? And I'm like, Mom, come on. We know each other.
Yeah.
It's not that crazy. But at the same time, in my heart, I was like, this is crazy. Well, turns out Arya is a great person and everything was fine. But my imagination when I hear about people online is working in a very bad way. So coming back to the question, yeah, we could go for a beer, but in the city.
Yeah, I think it is definitely crazy, the idea of meeting someone in real life. For me, I find it crazy, but I also know how real online relationships can be and the friendships you form. it's something Dr. K on Healthy Gamer GG talks about, how the rise of social media and how addictive the internet has become really isolates people, but it paradoxically is also the solution to the isolation, because you can build meaningful social relationships online with actual human beings, meet up for a beer and have a great time. So I find it to
Yeah,
be really, really interesting. It's a good answer. I liked your answer and the example too. Arya seems like an excellent person from what I can tell.
yeah. I think, to be honest, now like I started to know all of the bandit members, I really wouldn't mind like meeting them. But this
Mm-hmm.
is a little bit different than a viewer, because
Yes.
in the bandit gang we are part of organization, and we kind of see each other daily on the Discord, and we interact with each other like
Mm-hmm.
on the daily basis, and like off stream, not when I'm on and I'm kind of a persona. I just interact with them like every day, and we kind of know each
Mm,
other. At the
yes.
same time, if I, for example, I would visit BJ and someone would, I don't know, something would happen. I don't expect BJ to stab me or anything, but whole team would kind of know it, so they would see if there
Mhm.
is some sort of issue. So inside of this organization, I think it's easier for me to connect than for with random viewer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The difference between interacting with you as a person versus that slightly modified persona you have to go with online, that you're always engaged, always energetic. When people can see you when you're not always in the zone on that stream. That was a solid, solid answer. Go
But at
ahead.
the same time, sorry to cut you again. I'm
Feel
sorry
free,
for
feel
this.
free.
But I think because I'm a sort of now a public person, and you are sort of public person, it
Mm-hmm.
would be also quite easier for me to meet you in person
Mm-hmm.
than a viewer again, because I can see you, I can see
Yes.
how you react to something that someone writes, so I can sort of know you. If I see only text, I don't see a face behind this
Mhm.
text.
Yes, there's something a lot more personal. You know my face, you know my how I act, even though it's on stream and it's very different, not very different than off stream, but it can be less energetic off stream. Unsurprisingly, I put my energy when I'm on stream. That's go time. Then when camera goes off, it's a little bit more relaxed. You at least get to see me. You can do a collab. We can talk. That builds up a relationship a lot easier than a viewer texting or memeing in the chat. It's a tougher one to slowly build up. Can be built up, but it's a longer journey.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I have another question for you. Yeah,
Mhm.
what is your most memorable moment when streaming?
I think it would be a Slav mode stream. So I had one stream when I was still very, very small streamer, and I had on average like 7, 10 viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And as a joke, because some of people encouraged me to do it, as a joke, I set up a very hard to get goal to do a Slav mode
Mm-hmm.
stream, like that I squat, I listen to very terrible
Okay,
Russian
I see.
bass,
I see
I
what you
have these
got.
amazing glasses, and it was like 100,000 of this channel points reward, and I was like 10 average viewers streamer with like 0 subscribers, and somehow people joined and enjoyed the idea, and they paid for this, and I did the whole stream in this kind of mode, and in this kind of persona of the Slavness, and
Yep.
people really enjoyed it, and it was something big for me, because I this was the first time when I noticed that people that watch me actually care what I do, and they are not like randoms that I
Mm-hmm.
randomly click another stream and just go away and don't interact. That was like the first moment in my streaming career when I actually saw that someone cares, and it made me want to do it more.
That's an excellent moment, right? They bonded together. They did this crazy, they pushed for you this crazy idea. You offered it a premium reward to, go all Slav mode, put on the glasses, play the music, and just, chill out on the stream. I like it. I like it. That's a really sweet moment in many ways. All right. Next question. Let's see. Hmm. Actually, I'll probably wrap this one up as the last question. What do you love about streaming?
I think the most is interacting with people, because even when I play games like off stream, most of the time I play multiplayer games because I just like interacting with other people with
Mm-hmm.
different strategies. So when I stream, I can talk about my plays. I can talk about my misplays. I can talk about strategies, and I like this interaction. I also like when people come and share their problems, their
Mm-hmm.
ideas, their views, because even though, as I said before, they are sometimes the viewers are just randoms without a face, I
Mm-hmm.
still care about them, and I still like to hear when what someone is doing, how someone is progressing their rank. I forgot someone like write that he's sad because he net deck a tier 1 deck, and he just got from rank 15 to rank 14 and he's
Mm-hmm.
happy. And like, I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to encourage him to do it more. Don't listen to the haters that tell him that the deck is terrible or like meta, so they shouldn't play it. I just like to see this interaction, and I like to see when someone comes and is happy, and when someone
Mm-hmm.
joins my stream and then say it was enjoyable ride with you. I have to go now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so satisfied that I can make one person Monday morning, more happy, more
Yes.
optimistic.
It's a good feeling, right? Are able to interact and help people improve their lives, whether it's the game or just give them a bit of like energy on a Monday morning. It's a beautiful thing, that human connection that comes from streaming. Excellent.
Yeah,
Mhm.
when I like wake up and I'm not in the mood, I had a bad night. I don't know, my leg hurts or something like this, and I just launch stream and I see someone commenting even like, "Hi, what are you playing today?" It just
Mhm.
makes me wanna do it.
Yes. No, it gives you that extra motivation to, help out the people. Love it. Well, Chris, also known as Bomblin, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Uh, for
It
everybody,
was
hmm?
very stressful
Was
at
it really
first.
stressful? I hope not. I hope this was pretty chill. You did a great job. Uh, you guys, you got everybody here in the chat and listening to this in the future. You can catch Chris, also known as Bomblin, on YouTube, Twitch, and also Twitter. Check him out. Excellent human being, as you can tell. And get invested in the journey. He has a bunch ahead for him, and see where he goes. Thank you again thank you one more time, Chris. I appreciate you coming on. Take care. Shout out to McRandar and Ahmed Ali for all their support on Patreon.